All right, welcome back to Unisharks. This is Mako Shark hosting again with Lemon Shark and Hammerhead.
Hello.
Hey.
All right, so let's dive into it. Meme of the week. So, Lemon, want to introduce meme of the week?
This one really got you laughing, but I stumbled across this. So there's this video of like this dog that's just like barking, like a really weird bark. It's like sounds like an opera, like barks like and like someone took it and like added like background music to it, and like then also another like reaction of like some dude crying at like a concert theater, and like I don't know, the longer you watch it, the better it gets for some reason.
I wish we could play the audio of it as part of this recording. it's you can get like the gist of it just off the audio alone.
I think Lemon did a really good job acting out that dog.
Like my opera dog impression. Yeah, that's our meme of the week. Hammerhead, do you want to talk about the honorable second or honorable mention?
Yeah, sure. So it's along the lines of the ever popular Pitbull versus toddler memes for some reason. But of course, it's always the 90-pound princess named Pitbull. But I think it's of the newer Jurassic Park movies. So that what it is?
Yeah, Jurassic World.
Oh, Jurassic World, thank you. And it's a guy's like shooting a shotgun at it. It's like a 5-year-old trying to stop the pit bull with his Nerf gun.
And like the T-Rex, whoever it is, just like eats the person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've got a good laugh out of me too.
Yeah.
So Pitbull versus toddler is like a genre right now.
Yes, it is. I get it a little longer, but
oh, the meme community.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
All right, so moving on to the topics, I'm going to hand it off to Hammerhead. What have you got for us?
All right, so my topic, I was introduced to it. Well, everyone's been seeing it around if you're on any social media platform, but it's specifically on AI art and its effects. And I just kind of, I think I actually asked you a well-written out question. Let's see where I put it. Oh yeah, what's your opinion on AI generated art and its effect on the art community? So I want to ask you guys about it, about your opinions about it. But I also asked 5 of my artist friends their opinions on it, and they all said it's okay to share what they said on the podcast. So I'll probably do that after you guys if we have time. But any ideas or thoughts on AI art?
For me, like I don't immediately mind it that much because I'm not an artist.
Mhm.
But I guess when you look at one, of course, people can still enjoy art for themselves, and I'm sure they'll post their own unique handmade fan art and all that, and they'll enjoy it. Other people will love it too. But I think the bigger issue is whether it'll affect professional artists. Because earlier we were watching a video that Hammerhead sent us about AI art, and so far all I knew about was just the memes where it's like, oh, I typed Doom and it threw out a bunch of bubbles that vaguely look like Doom Guy. So that's what I thought it was. But then looking at some of this AI generated art where it's stuff like the program takes some inanimate object and turns it into a full on drawn out anime character with a background and everything, I'm like, holy crap. Like, well, that could like potentially in the future as it gets better, that might affect, concept artists and design teams whose job it is to come up with that kind of stuff from scratch.
Yeah, for real. I think that there's still going to be jobs for artists in the future, but I think with AI art, it's going to make it a lot more competitive. Like there's niche people that hire like real artists to like hand make stuff, because AI art still takes a little bit of like an effort to make. Because Hammerhead and I were trying to come up with a new like what should we call it, new picture for our Unisharks podcast, and there's some mixed results from what we did, and the AI came up with some pretty cursed stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think Hammerhead typed a majestic shark, and it showed like a shark like floating in the air above the sea, but like it had like 4 sets of eyes. It had like an extra set of eyes where the nose is supposed to be for the shark, and the fins were all weird, and it's just it's like the AI doesn't really learn what a shark looks like yet, I guess, but and just some weird stuff. And I've been messing around with AI art a little bit too, because like I'm an artist and I like to draw, and I'm not professional, of course, but I enjoy drawing for fun and whatnot, and it was kind of fun doing it. But at the same time, like it's hard to get the AI to do what you have in your head. Like I feel like if you can get to the point where you can plug like a cord into your head and like it'll spit out an image directly from your brain into the screen, that'll be like the game break. But like I still feel like AI will. Well, I don't know. It's like it still could be a useful tool. You know, it won't replace the artist necessarily, but it'll still be like a nice tool. The only issue I see with like AI art itself is that when you put in someone else's artwork in there without their permission, and they create like a art piece set off that, because the way some of these art programs, you can type in the style of a certain artist, and then AI will like go search in the internet and it'll like get all these reference photos from this artist, and it'll use that artist material to create like its own image based off that art style. So like, yeah, you pick like Van Gogh, and it'll go through all Van Gogh's stuff, and then it'll create something similar to that. In a way, it's kind of like stealing their artwork without their permission. Like a lot of artists I follow on Instagram talked about it, and they said that AI art could be a cool tool to help. You still need artists to like kind of like work with it and like adjust the AI art to fit what you need it to fit to make it more specific. But if it uses like the artist's artwork without compensation, like then that's kind of just like plagiarism or stealing. Because there's like a similar music app program where like you'll take like a bunch of music and like create something similar to like what you put into it, but the app is set up to that only uses royalty-free or compensates royalty-free music samples, and it compensates the artists to put in the music samples. So if there's a way for like the AI art to like compensate like artists who do put their artwork into it, I think that'd be okay. But yeah, but let me tell you guys though, I'm really glad now, because when I first started college, I was really tempted to like study art because I enjoy art, and like be like, oh, I'm gonna pursue as a career and like study art as a college degree. Like I'm really glad I didn't do that now. Like I'm just like, oof, like I said before, like I don't think I'll completely replace artists, like completely. Like there'll still be niche jobs out there, and there'll still be some people who want to hire an actual artist to like create stuff for them. But that's going to go down like way significantly if people can use AI art, you know?
Yeah. See, I thought about that actually. And there is that big concern of it replacing artists. But I also don't see it replacing animation art, at least in the upcoming future. For, imagine if AI tried to make Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It wouldn't work out well. But, if you're just wanting a still picture, it definitely could threaten that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised though if they do start working on programs where you kind of tell it what you want the scene to be, and it starts trying to set it up a certain way.
Yeah.
Although even then, I guess you'd probably have to have artists come in, because it's probably not going to get it done perfectly the first time. So you'd probably have to have someone come in and kind of correct it here and there.
Yeah, that's my thoughts too. Because like, I don't think it's going to completely replace people. It's just going to make it so they don't need as much manpower. Like, I think AI art would probably be a really good tool for like comic artists, because like some comic book artists or comic webtoon artists, like they have to draw the same thing over and over again. Like, imagine if there's a way to like have them put in like their own character. Then be like, okay, print this character out, and like a lot of digital tools, like a digital art tools, kind of do this already. Like a lot of people like they use 3D models and they just trace over it, and they just like. And there's also like a autofill coloring, like like they just tap something and it autofills cleans it for them. Like it's just a way to speed up the process, So that's kind of the way I view AR. It's like a way to speed up the process, but if you use it solely just to replace artists, like it's not going to be as good because, like for example, that video I showed you guys, I sent to you guys. There's this AI program that takes like pictures and like it'll turn them into like anime characters. And like one person that was going through it kind of mentioned how there's the AI art was really good, like it looks really cool, but kind of took the soul out of the original picture. Like there's a picture of Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, like he's doing the eyebrow thing. Look at the camera. So I put that through the AI thing to turn him into like an anime character. It was really funny, but like it gave him like a really like boring like expression. Like it just gave him like really flat eyebrows and just kind of like a blank stare and just like the general like neutral anime face, Like it didn't give him any expression or like that. And he said like how it kind of took the soul out of the original picture. So yeah, it made it look really fancy and look really cool, but it won't have like the soul behind it, And the AI, it's not necessarily like creating art by itself. It's still having a human prompt create, like it's still being steered by a human mind. So yeah, like we still have. Oh, go ahead, Mako.
I was just gonna say, so you feel like it could be used to complement an artist instead of replace them.
Yeah, as I'm thinking. It's like the same thing with digital art too. Like, a lot of people can say that digital art isn't real art because you computer like there's so many hacks that digital art do versus into traditional, like using the undo button, using the blending tool, and also using like just tracing over a 3D model. It's like people can say those are like cheap tricks and not real artists, but of course there's still artists out there. But the only issue with like the AI art is like it's stealing other people's art and like basically copying its style. That's where the issue is. So
yeah,
there's a few artists I follow that have that same opinion. That's kind of where I got it from too. Like this one comic book artist I really like. She posted a picture like of that, and she said like I think AI would be a really good tool, just like find a way to compensate the artists if they're using the data set and don't plagiarize. So that's kind of my opinion on it.
Yeah, no, I actually really like that idea that you had to make the AI art only use the art that's been inputted. Um, Such as it could possibly use art that's already in museums, for example, that's for the public, um, such as the Van Gogh and everything, or that compensation idea. That's actually not that bad. But so I think I mentioned this already. I asked a few of my artist buddies their opinions on it as well, and a lot of them were actually really similar to what you're saying. But a couple of them had a little bit different, and I actually like that viewpoint as well. So most of them, I won't read word for word exactly for all of them. Like um, one of this one's just digital artists, and after user work, they just get uh, their work is like they've said eaten and then spit back out basically to this art that's being spread around. Where the other ones go? I sent too many memes to everyone, so my mess gets so shoved around. Okay, here's this one. And they're saying so it's not good for the community, but it got bad when people started putting existing artwork already in it without permission. Excuse you.
Thanks.
But and they're saying the reason why it wasn't hated until now is because most of it was used by using like photography or like, oceans and mountains and backgrounds. And they were using that kind of what Lemon was saying to quickly make background pieces and artwork. And I guess the program they were using was NVIDIA AI, but then, like you said, before it was people's previous artworks getting stolen. Where's these other ones? Oh yeah, this person wrote a lot. How it's being too easy to get abused. Um, that it, they were saying it'll drastically change the industry, making conventional artists lose their jobs or get their payments lowered. So even because there's already companies that don't prioritize about it, and they'd rather have something that's pumped out instead of super good quality. Um, it's and probably oversaturation. That's what it's looking like. Yeah, where is that last one? Okay. Actually, this one was actually a good opinion. That that sounds bad. I'm saying like all the other ones are bad opinion.
Yeah, those are trash.
This ain't trash case. Okay. No. Um they're more a positive for it opinion. They're saying it's definitely good if it's in the good hands. So that's their line that you have to cross. But obviously they don't support the art theft, which is the main problem. And that, like you also mentioned there, Lemon, this person was saying they saw on Twitter that it just stole someone's entire art gallery. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to laugh. Um, and then the artist, I guess, complained to this person and had the audacity to tell them to go screw themselves. So that apparently, it's creating conflict, but they also put out their opinion on the cheaper the better, the faster it is, the better for consumers. Not so much the people that are putting in the effort for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In a way, AI art has been here for a while, just longer than we realized. Like even like in the form of filters on like Snapchat or Instagram. Like there's these art filters that you can turn yourself into like an art piece or anime character. They've been
Mhm.
around for a while, and like it's been like the technology has been there for a minute. And even Midjourney, like these AI programs, they started like a couple months ago, but it just hasn't been hasn't been what's the word? It's been starting to get abused recently, which is why it's getting artists mad.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to go back to a point that you made, Lemon. Um, when you're talking about the expressions, and I've noticed that that's very true. And I haven't seen, unless it was already made from someone else's art, but when it's made, for example, the anime filter, when it's made from something else already, you never see a smiling face. It's always that blank expression.
Yeah. And like that's what I was saying before, like how AI art, it's like it looks really fancy, it looks really cool, but it doesn't have the same soul. Like doesn't have the same expression and soul. And I think that there's still be people out there who recognize that, like art connoisseurs and all that. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think if it just takes away the face, or apparently in another aspect, the guy's whole entire body makes it into a suitcase.
It's okay.
Um, it will progress even more. But I don't know. I'm hoping that AI art sticks around for a little bit, but is used properly as the more, what's the word I'm trying to think? Not necessarily concept art, but like the art that they make and then they put on the finishing touches to actual art that people want. And so there's still a need for a human touch. Uh, just kind of like in any industry, you don't want to just take out humans, even though it is quote unquote efficient. You never get like a true good, um,
Piece of artwork.
yeah, piece of artwork or product.
Yeah, kind of like that picture of the rock you mentioned. How like it was looking kind of soulless. Like it would, the example of digital AI, art AI being used well would be if, it made that painting and then the human artist took it and kind of added some finishing touches and fixed it up so it did look good. So it did look like it had some soul to it.
Some R&B.
Excuse me.
But I don't know. It's a tough situation to say we're not through that, but it would be nice to have it properly, in order.
Yeah, it would need like some regulation, but then, who do you put in charge of that?
I remember taking a robotics class in college, and the instructor talked about what's it called? He said that when AI completely takes over the human's job, it usually fails. Like, he talked about how they use AI to like try to pilot an airplane, but it kept like crashing the airplane. But they said that but once you like work with the human and have like a AI assist the human rather than replace the human, that's when you get the best results. Like, it makes the human more efficient, and it's like, as long as it's used as a tool and not to replace the person entirely, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like different topic, but the Tesla cars, very similar situation where people were just falling asleep when it was driving. It's like, it'll be okay. It's like, one, I'm amazed you have that much trust in that, and two, they were getting accidents. It wasn't registering people when it was dark out. When there was like a cone on the road, it didn't recognize it for some reason, and it just accidents happen. But
Yeah, for reals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see where it's going to continue going though, because it's like, imagine like 10 years ago, we didn't even like, if we didn't think this would be possible at this point, like, I don't know, it's 10 or 20, even 20 years ago. Imagine like how far we've come technology wise. I'm curious to see what's going to happen like in 20 more years. Like, I was looking through some comments in the sections on YouTube about this topic, and one person pointed out, I was like, in 20 to 40 years, Netflix is going to create like an algorithm that tracks your eye movement, and like, it's going to like change the story on a whim to like keep you engaged the whole time and whatnot. And like, it's going to become like a drug or something like that. And I was like, dang, imagine like an AI that can like do that, like do animation and all that stuff. We were definitely not there yet, but like, imagine like 20 years or so.
Yeah.
And also another thing too, I heard that like Bruce Willis, like I heard that he like I didn't do much research into this, so I shouldn't quote me, but I heard that he gave some sort of like license to like use his face as a deep fake after he dies. So like, after he dies, like, companies can like use him as a deep fake and like deep fake like actors' face, like, you know what I mean, like use his face and
movies.
like, yeah, for movies in the future after he dies. And I was like, dang, that's wild. It's like wild to think about. It's like we're living in like, I don't know, like what type of dystopian like slash future are we going for, and like, it's just wild to think about, like, we're living in like a sci-fi like futuristic setting already. This is wild.
And he just legally gave himself immortality.
For
Well, and I was also hearing this other concern that if AI can be used to generate art, then maybe it can be used to generate voices. So then maybe in the next 20 years, 20, 40 years, you won't need voice actors anymore because we'll just have, programs that come up with the voices and do everything they need for them to voice characters in the future.
Well, they kind of do already.
Yeah, like there's like, I can't remember what the name was, but there's like this Japanese thing where like,
Hatsune Miku.
is that the whatchamacallit, the
Vocaloid.
yeah, Vocaloids, yeah, those scenes.
Yeah.
Like, when I heard about those, it's like, dang, but they don't really sound, you could definitely tell they're a robot, like, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think
But
it's
just thinking
also.
20 years. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, but like you're saying, imagine in 20 years. Okay, sorry. Um, but I also think people like the charm of the voice of that robotic sound, and that's why they haven't changed it specifically for Vocaloid. But I mean, if you look at, for example, like Siri, it already has, in a sense, if no one's ever heard of Siri before and you put it in a room with that person, they would probably think that the machine's talking back to them with a real person.
Yeah, or even Cortana, since they used an actual voice actress as her basis.
But you're saying there, Lemon?
Saying. Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that there's also another genre of like singers who like cover Vocaloid songs, and like they actually have pretty good followings too. Like I stumbled across a cool Japanese song. I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. Then when I was asking a Japanese teacher online to help me translate it, she's like, oh yeah, this is like a cover off of Vocaloid, and they have a specific word in Japanese for like people who cover Vocaloid songs too. So even though like so the Vocaloid even isn't even like replacing the singer, like the singers are still they're like working together in a way. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also I guess there are voice banks.
Voice banks.
Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, it was fun. It was interesting.
Tell you guys though. Let me tell you guys, I got like really depressed like when that first came out, like when I first heard about AR, because part of me was always like, this is a dream I had, like maybe like I'll make a career out of like doing art or something like that. But when that came up, I was like, oh gosh. But then I thought about it, and it's like, well, I still enjoy art even though I'm not making money at it now. And also, what's stopping it from like being useful? You know, like I always had the idea of like creating like a comic or something like that, but it was just too much work. I was like, well, maybe if AI gets good enough, maybe I can use that as a tool to create my, create like a comic or something, and save all that time to have to spend 10, 20 years creating like a storyline, like some of these mangakas and comic book artists. Like I found this new comic book series that has been going on for like 10 to 15 years, and I binged through it like in a week. So I was just like, dang, I binged through like this person's whole life, whole work in like a weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
is daunting. Is like, well, maybe AI art can slow that process down, and people don't have to give up like 10 years of their lives to tell a story they want to tell. So
Yeah.
it can be used in a good way. But that's my final thought on that for now.
Well, okay.
All right.
Actually, I want to go off what you just said there, limited just a little bit, about that artist. So you bring up the point that you make it easier for them for their story, but that also makes me a little worried that we won't get as fleshed out stories.
Yeah.
Because like they can make it really quickly, and then we're in that consumer mind of instantaneous. Um, like imagine, I know people are giving bad backlash to the Harry Potter author, but like if those all came out in 2 months instead of over the 10 years, I don't think it would have been as, I don't know how
I didn't mean
to.
like AI is like writing the story for them, as more like
Oh yeah.
comic stories like take a lot longer to tell just because you have to draw them all out and it takes forever, like a lot of work. But I was
Yeah,
thinking of helping to speed it up.
yeah, and that part I agree with. It's more of they, unless the story is already written out, there's a lot of authors that write their stories while they're still drawing out part of their series, and I just don't
Yeah.
want it to get rushed out the story wise as well as the art. If that makes more sense.
Yeah. This kind of goes along with Mako's topic a little bit too. Kind of like but yeah, I'll let Mako bring that up.
Oh yeah, that's a good leeway, I guess, to go on to the next topic, huh?
Yeah. All right. My topic was another kind of controversy or question that's risen up lately. It's how do you guys think streaming is going to impact the film industry going forward?
And And just to clarify for listeners, because I was confused too, you're talking about movie streaming on movie platforms, such as
Yeah,
Disney
or
Plus.
like Disney Plus, Netflix. Like for example, Knives Up was a fantastic movie, and I was excited for the film, well, for the sequel, and then I found out it's coming out on Netflix for some reason, and I still need to watch it actually. Or how Pixar employees are getting upset because for the past 2 years, almost all their movies have been put straight to Disney Plus.
So I I enjoy the streaming because I think I mentioned earlier I have that instantaneous consumer mindset. Um, Actually not as bad recently. I haven't watched anime for a little while. Yeah, I know. Shock and awe, shock and awe. Um, but I don't like it as well because, like in a movie theater setting, I turn off my phone and I
uh,
don't have anything else around me, such as a ton of snacks that are very easy to grab. I know obviously you get the food from the movie theater, but it's like, oh, okay, I finished this now. I'll go upstairs while the movie's going, and I'll just grab another thing, and you miss a few minutes. Um, and then having the audience, I know it's very fun to watch a movie with your friends, um, even if it's a movie they haven't seen, but it's just something different to be in a movie theater type setting.
yeah,
And I've talked to a few people, and they have the same feeling, but I don't know if that's the majority.
yeah. I mean, these articles I've been reading because we've had the pandemic, and then around the same time, streaming shot up because now everybody was watching movies from home. And then even after stuff started opening up, they're like, I don't want to risk going to a theater. So they'd still just rather, wait for stuff to come to Disney Plus or Amazon or whatever instead of going to the theater to see it. So and that's been especially prevalent with Disney movies because that's a big part of the appeal. But
Um,
when I think I sort of like there are a lot of film companies that are concerned, and they're even trying to get studios to promise them that they'll start putting movies back in the theaters because the pandemic was hard enough for them, and now there's still people say, "No, I'm just going to wait," because some people actually came to prefer it. Like sure, you mentioned you get the experience and better quality and all that stuff, less distractions, but some people like the idea of how they can just sit in their pajamas, make some hot chocolate and popcorn for $5 and then watch the movie in the comfort of their own home instead of going out and buying $15 popcorn on top of like $10 admission, which can cost a bomb if you have a large family.
Mhm.
So, but then now I have also seen lots of people say I miss movie theaters because like I remember, yeah, like a few years ago, Bull Shark and we went to see Endgame when that came out, and then before that, me and some of our other buddies went to see Infinity War. So and it was just so much fun watching it with all these strangers and just knowing you shared something in common with them. Like the scene where Thor comes down in the battle, like everybody was screaming and cheering. I remember I screamed out Thor, and someone on the other side of the theater yelled "God of Thunder!" When he like jumps and lightning fills the sky, we're like, oh, like it was just a lot of fun. Like you get more energy with more people.
Yeah.
So for me, like it depends. If it's a big movie like Endgame or Infinity War, yeah, I'd love to see it in the theater. If it's something smaller, like oh, I don't know, let's say Black Widow, then I'm okay just watching it at home.
No offense, because Black Widow. Um, you reminded me of two instances. So there's a time when you Mako and me and um I can't remember her name. Oh well. We went to go see Star Wars 9.
Oh,
You remember that? It was at the Dollar Theater and it was just us three.
yeah.
And we still had a good time. But it was very nice because we were just making fun of it the whole time. And you can't really do that too much in a theater situation, even though it was in the theater. And then the other instance, Lemon, I don't know if you remember, um, was it Eve? Was that the movie? Was the movie called Eve? When you came over for a concert and you stayed?
That is Bell.
Oh, Belle. We even recorded an episode too, if I remember right.
Yeah, we
And
did. Yeah,
how many people were there in the theater? Do you remember?
I think it was just us.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think there was anyone else there.
but it was still kind of fun though, having this giant screen and um, having all the sound effects and everything. And unless you have a lot of money, I think that's also something that's very nice to be in a theater situation. I mean, obviously, you have good experiences if you have good headphones and everything, but it's kind of hard to have that if you're just downstairs and just on the couch. Yeah.
Yeah, like unless you have a whole surround sound setup.
Uh huh.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, I remember when we went to go see, I think it was Infinity War again, because one of our buddies, Cameron, yeah, Cameron the bodybuilder,
Mhm.
he hadn't seen it yet, and we and all of our group of friends were like, "Oh, you got to see it!" So we dragged him to the theater. And Robbie was sitting at the front yelling out stuff like, "Man, I can't wait for Superman to show up." So,
Oh.
just screwing with. It was a dollar theater. There was maybe like 6 people there we didn't know. So, yeah, that was a great memory we made.
Well, I'm also thinking of some other experiences, like when we went to go see Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh,
Was
yeah,
that wouldn't have been the same if we didn't go to the theater. But one instance, it was fun, but it was also very annoying. Was Sonic when we went to that? Because,
well,
huh?
I was gonna ask what happened during Sonic. I'm trying to remember.
It was just a lot of people. It's kind of a Robbie situation, except they weren't. They're just. It was very a lot of bad references, and it's like, okay, this is not the right moment. Just out of the blue. Don't
Yeah.
remember that? No? Okay. Now I'm just sounding like a party pooper. But, I mean, there's always tough situations with that, and it's like,
Yeah. I remember when Bull and I went to see Endgame, like some guy tapped us on the shoulder and said, "Hey, maybe next time don't talk for the entire movie."
"Oh,
And we both
yeah.
looked at we both looked at each other because we were like, "Excuse me?" We whispered maybe a few things 3 or 4 times. That was it. But since you know, we just decided to play it cool and to say, "Oh, okay, sorry," and just walked away.
Yeah." Easiest way to do it.
So, but I will like kind of going off that guy's apparent experience watching it with us. Like, yeah, we've had times where we go to the theater and the person in front of us keeps talking, like either just talking to their friend about random crap or just describing everything that's happening on screen as we're watching it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Or the person that just always asks, like, "What just happened? What just happened?" It's like, what are you talking about? It's like a 60-foot
Why are you?
screen. But,
Yeah,
now, going back to your original prompt, in in all honesty, I see people going to theaters going down drastically.
yeah,
Um, but it will the m- the movies that they put in huge budgets, though, I expect around the same or maybe even slightly more um, viewing at movie theaters.
Yeah, like I haven't checked the numbers, but I'm assuming like Black Panther is doing really well.
Yeah, I believe so. Let me look. Isn't it Wakanda Forever? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's it.
Let's see. No, yeah, it's not doing too bad. About 767.8 million.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. Well, and
Yeah.
of course, they're hyping up how Avatar 2 is a theater only release. So and stuff like that. So I feel like just based off like our conversation about it, I don't think theaters are under immediate threat, but they may have to downsize just because there's not as many people using that to get their entertainment anymore, especially with how much stuff Disney owns nowadays. Like a good chunk of what comes out in theaters is just going to end up on Disney Plus within the year.
Yeah. Well, I will say, um, it will definitely depend on this current generation of parents.
Oh yeah,
Because, I mean, the parents of this time, a lot of them had to stay home because of COVID, obviously. And if they don't take their kids to theaters, their kids are just going to just grow up with the experience of just watching at home or someone else's home and never going to go to the theaters, and then it's probably going to die out. But if people are on with more the mindset of, well, we couldn't go for a while for obvious reasons, but I kind of want to go back. I'm going to take my kids now. Maybe not to every movie, just like how we grew up with, but I'm going to
yeah,
take so it's still more of a special, more enjoyable experience when they're older. They're like, "Oh, a new movie's coming out." Like, yeah, I can wait a month to watch it at home, or I can pay the extra and then watch it at the theater, and maybe not pay for the subscription type. But who knows?
yeah. Well, in some cases, it can even be cheaper to go see it at a theater. I remember or no, Black Widow. I think you had to pay $30 to get the right to see it.
Dang.
Yeah, so like for a family where you're probably going to be paying 40 or 50, that's a steal. But for just like a small group of friends or even just a single person, it's like, well, crap. I'd rather just go to the theater and pay $10 for it.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I think you're right. Uh, it will depend on if parents in the here and now and in the upcoming generation can decide if it's, if their memories of the theater are strong enough that they want to introduce their kids to it. And so far, I think, yeah. Like I said, I think at worst theaters might just have to downsize. It might not go the way of the Dodo, but it may go the way of the drive-through theater.
Which are fun in their own way.
Oh yeah.
No. How about you, Lemon? What do you think?
I kind of enjoy. I like going to a movie theater, but I've been going to a lot of movies in the movie theater recently to like try to support stuff. But I don't know. I guess I'm just a little movied out because I've been going to a lot of movies recently, and I think it's good to go to a movie that you want to go see. It's the same opinion I have about like live concerts and stuff like that. Like, some of them just aren't worth it to go see, but like the movie's good enough. Like I enjoy it. Like I went and saw Wakanda Forever last week, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was like, oh, it's actually a really cool movie, but it depends on the movie, of course. As for streaming affecting movie industries, I think in a way it might force the movie companies to actually be better rather than because now it's like people just watch stuff at home. There's plenty of streaming stuff to watch. Like it'll mean that you only go to a movie for like, or only go to the movie theater for a movie you actually want to go see that's actually really good. So it's going to make these movie companies step up their game and try to create something that actually brings people to the movie theater. So, in a way, I think it could help it. It might increase the quality of movies, but at the same time, it might make it harder for newer movies to do well. But that's my thought. Also, this kind of goes with the internet too. Like streaming, kind of like introduces just so much media all the time, and it's not just streaming itself; it's the internet too. But sometimes I just feel like just oversaturated with so much media. Like there's just so much media out there to consume. It's like not even funny. So it's just kind of like overwhelming sometimes how much media there is to consume out there.
Oh yeah. Especially once they start like diversifying markets. I can remember when Disney Plus suddenly started adding all these Korean dramas and Chinese, I don't know what you would call that, a comedy, I guess. Stuff like that. I was like, oh my gosh. Well, and they even started this, I think it's an original. It's like an Indian mythological adventure. I was like, holy crap. There's so much to choose from now. It's kind of why I have a hard time getting into shows because it feels like each show is such a long commitment.
I kind of feel the same way about video games recently too. It's just like so many video games to choose from, and each one's a commitment. And it's like, I guess it just sucks being an adult and not having as much time to spend on that, I guess.
Oh yeah, and like especially with all these live service games they have going, like Overwatch is live service now, and Fortnite is live service, and you think, well, if I have to buy the battle pass, I don't have to play these games, but then I actually have fun on them, and all that stuff that I actually want. Like Overwatch just added a big Greek god themed thing for their battle pass. I'm like, wow, look really cool. And then Fortnite just added Doom guy and Geralt. Is it Geralt or Gerald?
Is Gerald? No. Yeah, Gerald. Yeah.
Yeah, Gerald from
Gerald's
The Witcher. I'm like, crap, I want Doom guy. So, and then on top of all that, Halo Infinite just added a huge update, and I guess is finally worth playing after a year. So it's like, yeah, market's really saturated.
Yeah, I guess it's just consumer mindset nowadays. It's just like they want quantity, not really quality as much anymore.
Yeah.
There's niche little markets here and there. Like, I guess it means that people can choose what they want. So,
yeah, I mean, I guess having too much to choose from is a good problem to have.
yeah.
Yeah, unless you have 200 plus shows on your to watch list. All right, so here's a little question for you though. When it comes to streaming, not necessarily new movies, how do you feel about people that watch shows or something in 1.5 speed?
1.5 speed.
Yeah.
You can do that.
That's a cool hack. I didn't think about that.
Not so much. I don't think like on Disney Plus, but for like YouTube, for example.
Yeah,
that's a really good hack. I should start doing that.
They're watching 5% faster than the rest of us.
Well, it's 50% faster, actually. Thank you.
50% faster. They're 50% into the future.
Yeah. That's gosh. That's probably how the guys that love spoiling stuff. When like the Mandalorian was coming out and people were like talking about the ending before like it's even finished. It's like how? He's like, I watched it 2 times speed.
Oh goodness. It depends what you're watching, I guess. Like if it's a show you really like, you don't really want to rush through it, If it's something you're really passionate about and you really like, you probably wouldn't want to rush through it. But if it's like I don't know, if I'm watching something for educational purposes or informative, I'd probably rush through it. I did that same thing with like a bunch of like courseworks. Like I have to watch a video for class or something. I'm like, I'm gonna watch it double speed. I don't want to waste more time on that than I have to, but
yeah, they put like an 8-minute video and it's like, That's a third of an anime episode.
Well, we had a teacher. Sorry, it's a quick story time. We had a teacher that we actually had to report to the school because he would like give us hours worth of videos we would have to watch, and I was like, "We're not doing this." So would like either fast forward through it or watch it at higher speeds or whatever, just to get through it. Take the quiz until we passed, then call it good. And he got mad and said, like, "You're not taking this seriously, and you're cheating, and that's against the honor code. So I'm going to take away this class's certification." And a member of my group actually talked to the dean, or like talked to some relatives in the school. And they're like, "No, he can't." Well, he had like a relative that worked as a professor or something like that, just one of the staff.
Oh, okay.
So he talked to him about it, and he said, "Oh, no, he's not allowed to do that." So it went up the grapevine until it got to the head of the engineering department. So and he talked to the teacher and said, "Under no circumstances are you allowed to take the certification away from this class. That is not your business." The next week, the teacher tells us, like, "Oh, by the way, guys, if anybody has a problem with how I'm running the class, please talk to me instead. You don't have to talk to someone else about it." We're like, "Well, you forced our hand."
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
wild.
that was crazy. All right. Do we have time for Hammer's topic?
I mean, I'm fine with it. How are you? No, you mean lemons?
Yeah, sorry, lemons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of ties in with everything. So my topic, I was thinking about like live concerts and like what you guys think about them, because this past year or two, I've been like getting really into like going to these concerts and going to go see them. But recently, I've gotten kind of burned out and just kind of like wondering, is it really worth it? Because it's such a money suck and time suck. I go to these concerts and I don't know, it just seems like so much time is put into it and time is wasted, and it's a fun experience, but then like it's over as soon as it started, it seems like. But I think my biggest issue is that there's a band I want to go see, but for some reason they're playing with like 3 other bands. They don't really want to. Like, I understand why they do it. Like they're trying to bring more people in and try to like get their word out of like these upcoming bands too, and like these opening bands. But I just find it kind of annoying. It's like, I want to go see a specific band, but yet I have to sit through like 3 other bands' performances before I can see that band I want to see. And I don't know. It's especially like how long it takes between sets. Like the band goes, then like takes half an hour for them to set up for the next band, and they play for like half an hour, then another like half hour. And like by the time you see your band that you want to see, you're at the event center for like 4 or 5 hours before you actually see the band you want to go see.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm tired. I want to go home.
Yeah. Well, my question is, so you actually have heard these other bands before, and you don't care for them.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes there's been rare cases where like there's actually a headlining band coming in, and like I only want to see the 2 bands that are playing before them. So I actually just left after they're over. I was like, I'm done. And like it's kind of funny too, because like I think half the people there were to see that opening band, and like half the people left with me, and it's like, yeah, right, showing these fools who's the real goats or whatever, But
Yeah.
I think my favorite concerts, like I had really fun experiences at like for example, Lindsey Stirling concert, and like the band I went to go see up in Boise, or Northern Idaho, I should say, Northern Idaho. It was cool because like I don't mind seeing like 1, maybe 2 opening bands, but like when it's like 3 or 4, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, can you guys not? I'm not here to see you, But I don't know. I don't know. Like, it kind of makes me like. I remember in high school, I was going through like that stage, and I was like really obsessed with music. I liked playing piano and cello and bass guitar, and I was I imagine it'd be so cool to like get into music and play and like music and go on tours and whatnot. But after like going to a few concerts, I'm just like, dang, I'm really glad I didn't, because I don't think I can do tours that much, because like it's so much work. And like towards the end of the song, towards the end of the set, like you get kind of tired of the band, like tired of the music. Like I can imagine, like just as an audience, you probably get tired of listening to the same things over and over again. But being a musician, having to play the same songs over and over again, you probably get tired of it. So I'm like, and also it's really intense, some of these tours. Like I was looking at the tour schedule, and like one band is like playing in Salt Lake City, then the next day they're playing in Denver. Like they only have like one day of rest between sets. I was like, dang, how do you guys do it? But and also like these places are so overpriced. Like they sell merch that's only available like at these concert tours, which is cool, but they oversell them for so much money. And then you go to these venues, they don't allow any water or any like outside snacks to come in. So like when you're there for like 6 hours, so you're dehydrated and need to get some water, and like the water is like jacked up, super expensive, like $4 for a bottle and whatnot, and just such a time and money suck. I'm just like, is this really worth it? You know? But I guess it depends on like individual level. Like there's been some concerts I've been to where like it was definitely worth it to me, but that's just because the band that I was seeing meant so much to me. But I guess I went through a kind of a craze where I had a really good concert experience. So I decided just to buy up a concert that sounded cool to me. So I ended up going to concerts I didn't really care for the band that much, and therefore it wasn't as good of an experience, I guess. So it was just my fault for like I should only prioritize the concerts or live events that I actually wanted to go see. But anyways, I just think it kind of ties in with like the theater thing a little bit too, because like if you go to a movie in the movie theater and like it wasn't that good of a movie, like then it is kind of a waste, you know, like it wasn't really that good of an experience and you wasted a lot more money. You could have just watched it on streaming and, you know, like not have as much done. But yeah, that's my topic and my thoughts. What are you guys thinking about that?
So I like the part that you bring up about, you enjoy it for a while, then you're like, it's time to go home type deal. And especially with music, that's really tough because rarely do you get songs that are over 5 minutes. A lot of songs in an album are between like that 3 and 4 minute, maybe even shorter length. And I think the concerts or the performances that do really well or are more worth the time is when they try to entertain you differently than just their music. They might try to interact with the people that are watching, or they might bring in a guest or even do a comedy type skit thing. So it's not just them listening to their album and then leaving. They're good entertainers. That's what I'm trying to say. Those concerts, I think, are more worth it, unless kind of similar to the movie theater situation. If there's just a lot of hype going on at that concert constantly, um, with some breaks in between, then you're like, oh yeah, I just had fun the whole time. Then those ones are pretty, I would say, worth it.
Yeah, I think it depends on how they sound and the performance too. Like you said too, it's not just them performing their music; it's also them interacting and whatnot. Because a couple times I almost got stuck in a mosh pit. It was kind of scary, but I actually got knocked over a couple times too. It was like, oh shoot, I'm
Oh,
being
jeez.
repaired. It was only one time, but anyways, I digress. Yeah, I think I just had a bad experience a couple times where once I saw the band live, the headlining band was like, that didn't sound that great. It's like, and it's just like, was it really worth it? But I guess it depends on how it was too. You know, my biggest
Yeah.
pet peeve though is that it's like I'm here to see a specific band I want to see. Why are you making me sit through like 4 other performances? And like, you can't just like go in and then leave the area and come back. Like once you leave, they're not letting you come back inside again. It's like, I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, this might sound a little snotty, but I kind of came to realize that I think I've liked classical music concerts more than rock concerts that I've been to. Because, like, I went to, like, I was in choir and not choir, orchestra, in
Yeah.
middle school and part of high school and stuff like that. So we'd do performances and we'd also get to go to some. And going to some, it was really nice. We'd listen to some beautiful music. We'd sit back. We'd be downtown Denver. It was a great time. But then one of my buddies took me to a rock concert, and I hated it. Well, I mean, because like I don't know if it makes sense, but it's like the music was so loud I couldn't comprehend it.
Oh.
If that makes sense, it kind of felt like the musical equivalent of having someone shove food down my throat. You know?
Yeah.
Actually, I kind of agree with that. Even though I like heavy music and whatnot, these concerts I go to are really annoying because like they prioritize making like the guitars and drums, everything's so loud you can't even hardly hear the singer half the time. And it's like,
Yeah,
what's the point of even doing this? Like, I remember like the last concert I went to, like they're doing like one of their slower songs, and like the lead singer has a really cool voice and really pretty voice, and they had this bass going, and it was just all you can hear is bass. It was going so hard you can feel it. Like my chest was like vibrating. It was just like, oh my gosh, I can't even hear the dude singing. It's like, why are you like singing and like doing that stuff? Like this singer, like I don't know, he puts all that effort to like create that music, and also it's wearing his voice down too. It's like, what's the point? Yeah,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
kind of annoying.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like,
I think my favorite concerts. Or go ahead, make them.
oh, I was gonna say like later on we went to a Who concert.
Oh yeah.
So the Who, they're a big band. They're around for a while. They're talented. So I was up for it. I was excited for it. But then we got there and it was just freaking weird. Because again, same thing. It's too loud. I can't really concentrate on the music. And then there's just all this weird crap going on. Like I saw this like it looked like a 50-year-old guy with white hair, like getting high and drunk and just like headbanging. And it wasn't even like an intense song. He was just losing it. I was like, "You people, what the crap is going on?" I was like, I don't want to be the party pooper, but this is just weird. So, but I
Yeah.
mean, on the flip side, that same concert I mentioned earlier, where I was like, we were in this little venue, and you know, music was too loud and all that. Those were just the headlines. Once the actual main event came on, and it was Marty Feldman from Megadeth. Like once he came on, it changed because he was really talented. Like I'm sorry to say, he was way more talented than the last two people. So I'm like, I actually enjoyed listening to the music because it was toned back a little bit. I could concentrate on it and enjoy it. It was good music. And you mentioned earlier, Hammer, or yeah, about how it can depend on how the band interacts with the audience, that they try to make it more fun. I went to a National Parks concert with Chase because that's one of his favorite bands. So he had a great time. I mean, there's enough people that there's a lot of energy, but not so many that you felt crowded. And the band was great. They actually started off singing in the middle of the crowd. Like the two lead singers were husband and wife snuck into the back of the crowd. So when they start playing, I was like, where are they? And all of a sudden the spotlight came on and they were behind us. They say, hey everyone, started singing. Like we loved it. It was great.
Yeah. So you reminded me of another thought. I also hope that you might be able to comment on this, Lemon. You have more experience with this. Um, I hope it's not the venues also messing up the concerts, purposely making it louder, overselling tickets so they obviously get as many people in there. And so it just kind of ruins the experience even more than it would have been if it was, that they made the audio work properly or they didn't oversell so they'd have 50 people per square foot, you know?
Right. Yeah, I sometimes wonder because as they're so packed and whatnot, but yeah, going back to like I've been to some classical concerts too that I really liked, but part of me also kind of wonders like, is it like how different is it just like watching it on YouTube or like watch or just listening to music like in your headphones? Because I almost feel like that's more of an enjoyable experience because you can experience the music on like what you want. I guess I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but part of me is just wondering if like is it better just to like listen to music like on your headphones and that's rather than trying to go to actual live concerts. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess it
Okay.
depends what it is. Maybe I just wonder if it's like it what makes like live events more enjoyable than actually just listening to it like through your device or just like listening to it through like audio recordings, you know?
Well, I feel like kind of like what we were talking about with movie theaters versus streaming. It kind of depends on if you're in the mood for like being a part of a crowd. Because it can be a lot of fun. It can be really energetic, or maybe you just want to quietly listen to it by yourself and kind of enjoy it for yourself. So I think it just depends.
That's true, yeah. Yeah. I've had some really awesome experiences though at concerts for sure. I think just the past couple I've been to is just like sheesh, is overrated. But maybe it's just those experiences weren't as good, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it goes back to earlier about the movie theaters, like just go to the movies that you absolutely want to see rather than just going to see every single movie that comes out, you know? Like if you just want to watch a movie just to watch it, maybe just watch it on streaming. But if the movie actually means a lot to you and you're really hyped up to see it, maybe go see it in the theater because it'll be more fun that way. I guess I can apply the same thing to music as well.
Yeah, and that could even apply to just like stage performances in general. Because my sister and I got back from a trip at Disney World, and like they had this huge show called Harmonious, and it was really cool. Being there to watch it with my own eyes. So then when we got home, we thought, well, we should watch the version that they have on Disney Plus. Where it was opening night. My issue with that was that they had a bunch of celebrities and all these famous singers there, so they kept focusing on them, and then they cut away, show what was happening on the actual show port, and then they'd cut back to the singers, and I'm like, I appreciate everyone involved with this, but honestly, I just want to watch the show. So I feel like it is kind of nice just being there in person and getting to have your own experience with it.
Yeah.
True.
Now, I did have like
Yeah.
another question tied to that, actually. What do you
What's
guys
that?
think about virtual? What did you guys think about virtual concerts? I remember for Pokemon's, I think 20th or 30th anniversary, they had like a virtual concert with what's that guy with the tattoos on him?
Malone.
Who?
Post Malone.
Yeah, Post Malone.
Yeah.
And then recently, Facebook was pushing that they were going to have a virtual concert with B.I.G. Notorious, who's been dead for decades at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just had a couple thoughts on it. And then I'll probably be done. But one, I watch them like a YouTube video. If I'm forced to watch something in between, I'll just get up, do something else, play on my phone.
Yeah.
And then two, it's fun, but it doesn't really feel like a concert.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah,
thoughts.
I think it'd be more of a cool like music video theme, but probably not as a concert.
Yeah. Like if you had a VR headset, it might be a little better.
They put you on the background screens like the Zoom calls.
Yeah.
I guess the same thing can be said about live streams. Like, how do you feel like live stream like musical performances? Because there's a few YouTubers I follow who do that. Like they're just small upcoming musicians. They don't have the budget to go on tour, so they just do live streams and perform live on YouTube.
Huh.
Yeah, that's kind of just this is kind of like a Twitch situation. I mean, obviously they put on Twitch
Yeah.
the 8-bit drummer. Um, Again, it doesn't really feel like a concert. It feels like a performance, but all different than a concert.
Yeah, it sounds like a good way to help smaller bands get discovered. like you said, they have trouble getting out there. Actually, reminds me of a slightly off topic, but reminds me of a funny story about a guy that was streaming a big UFC fight. So he just put a controller in his lap in full view of the camera and pretended like he was playing one of the UFC games.
Oh yeah.
Oh goodness.
So
That
people
was-
just jumped in to watch.
Or the guy that was watching the fight, different fight, but it was reflected off his sunglasses.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great.
But anyways, I think I don't know.
It's probably time to wrap up, I guess.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. We had a lot of fun talking about this stuff. So, let's see. We'll get the episode out soon, and we'll start working on the next one. So, thanks for listening.
Yeah, bye.
Bye bye. Thanks for coming. Like and subscribe. Okay.